All right, so a quick recap, some commentary on the day. Essentially, what we had here, if you were paying attention at the end of day recap yesterday or during the pre-market live this morning, kind of the main observation was that the near-term structure remains in a downtrend, right? If we take a look at this, got a high right there, lower high, right? Lower high, lower high. Lower high all through here, lower high this morning. And so anytime you have kind of this stepping action downwards without a sustained break of the prior lower high and then a higher low to follow, little change in character there, then you want to be cautious with the longs. It's not to say that you can't scalp longs or anything like that. It's not to say you can't make money on the long side. It's just if you want to be aligning with the big picture trend, if you want to be aligning with what the main structure shows, which for me personally, that's what I'm always looking to do, then you want to be focusing on shorts. And I kind of reiterated this morning that we should be cautious with longs until we break that, at the very least, the 4380, which was the prior day high, but really the 4400 and the 4420. Longs were on notice. So the call was to be tactical with any longs, meaning when I say tactical, I mean just, very, very nimble. You want to be trailing very tightly with any longs that you put on, or ideally just avoiding them altogether. There's a lot of commentary out right now about oversold this, oversold that. I don't really care about how oversold something is because it's not something that is really going to give me any edge whatsoever. An oversold stock can continue to be oversold, can become even more oversold. So it's not a reason on its own to be bullish on anything. Can certainly add conviction, but it's not a reason on its own to be bullish. And so coming into today, we were looking at that 4380, opened up here around the 4350, which was a level of interest. That was a key level for us. Price really failed to develop or materialize any type of bounce there. There was really no buying interest. If we look at the intraday here, this is the 2-minute chart. You could see a little bit of a blip higher off of the open. But this, if you're familiar with volume price analysis, this is not the kind of action that we want to be seeing if we're thinking long, right? VWAP is overhead as well. So you got VWAP all through there and pretty much just rolls over right after the open. From there, it's just a series of, once again, fresh lows, right? We make a high, lower high, another fresh low, lower high right here, just kind of churn through that 4330, resulting in a new low. One comment I did want to make, I see this quite frequently when we are selling. You want to be very careful with an afternoon bounce. An afternoon bounce, generally speaking, is going to be an opportunity to be getting back into shorts. Okay? You see a low volume, kind of midday lull, afternoon bounce, exactly like what we saw today. You want to be cautious. Because the probability is that it's going to really roll over again into the afternoon. Now, there are some exceptions. If we had broken the prior day low and reclaimed, if we had broken this prior lower high and reclaimed, you have a real change in character there. That provides a real change in character. That's a real change in the near-term market structure. But that did not materialize today. And so I see this quite frequently where the afternoon will just kind of drift like we saw all afternoon, drifting higher, and then roll over, right? Close it on the lows. Still have about 40 minutes till the bell, but essentially it remains the same. If you're a long through here, you had to be, once again, very tactical. So I just want to drive that point home because I've been burned in this type of action plenty of times here. Trying the longs, it's a lot of barcode. You need a perfect entry. You need to really be careful. It's easier just to go on a walk, go have some lunch, come back and try and catch some of these moves lower. Very similar action in SPY. Of course, this is just the ETF that follows the S&P. You do have 2-hour trader shorts through here using the 2-hour trader framework. That worked quite nicely. 3 opportunities today using that framework. They all worked. So for 3 for 3 on that, that's an easy money setup. On SPY, looking at this chart, it is quite different than ES. We don't have that hammer, right? There's no hammer here. It's just a random buy bar on low volume. So another clue that, we may not be holding this area of support. Went ahead and broke down. We are now testing this high volume node, right? This was an area of interest on ES. We're now well through it on the back adjusted chart, but SPY is just now getting into there. Still quite a ways from the 200 MA. So just looking at this, it's obvious that, sellers remain in control. Where are we going to go? Well, maybe into today's S3, right? Bulls and buyers are really going to want to be defending this gap. This gap higher, pretty much, this is what sparked the summer rally. I don't know if you guys remember that day, but huge gap up. And that pretty much sparked the summer rally. So buyers are really going to be looking to defend that level. That is your 424 area. So that's definitely a level of interest. If that gives out, I'd probably expect a real test of the 200 MA into, call it 420. Right. As far as the 200 MA on ES, we are pretty much right there. We're pretty much right there. You can see it right through here, 43.02. And as a reminder, the significance of this zone, just the prior breakout point from the past year and a half of action. If you look at that blue zone there, right? Resistance, resistance, resistance. Price tightens here, breaks out, we're back into that area. So it's a reasonable spot to be expecting a long. It's just we don't really need to rush it. When the market, the market, especially the index, is like a cruise ship, right? When the market turns, it takes time. You're not going to miss the low. If you're paying attention, you won't miss it. So there's no need to be super aggressive with anything. Just something to keep in mind. So for ES for tomorrow, what I'm looking at is just the reaction versus the 4,300, 200 MA. Right? It does not align with the SPY 200 MA. Don't think it aligns with the SPX 200 MA. But if buyers are going to start to nibble, I wouldn't be surprised to see it here into 4,300. That is also a psychological level. If we look at the non-back adjusted chart, it's way different. It's obviously way different. Right, look at the gap there. That is now filled. That's now filled. So this chart looks closer to SPY coming into this little pattern right through here. I prefer the back adjusted chart. It's just a preference thing. On NQ, let's take a look at this. Recap this one. Very similar setup. You had the daily hammer. Another note on the hammer. Mentioned this morning, low volume. Hammer's good, but we want volume. We want proof that the buyers are there. That's why I was so cautious this morning. I want to see them actually break the high. Couldn't even break the high. And so this afternoon, very similar type of action about that kind of drift higher. You have wider ranges in NQ. That's pretty normal, but look what we did. We had that undercut there that ended up being a phenomenal play. Shout out to D-Wall on that one. Great opportunity for a long there. But look where we turned around. Right, prior day low, that was the daily breakdown point. Is that kind of drift I talked about in ES. Drift higher in the afternoon bounce, no real change in character, no change to the near-term structure, couldn't even break above VWAP, and we roll over. So obvious clues can kind of protect you if you take a step back and stay objective. Hopefully most of you guys nailed the shorts today. The setup was pretty straightforward. As far as individual names, I did a quick scan. I'm looking at Apple simply as kind of a market gauge, right? Look at this area of support right through here. We have 171, 170 area. We can call this a big area of daily support. And then look what's below, my favorite, the volume void. Volume void right through there. The void ends with this high volume node pretty much aligning with the 200 MA. And so this is kind of, this blue area is kind of the last stand for buyers to defend. If it fails, expect 165 on Apple, which I'm sure will be defended. this is, look, we just made all-time highs. I mean, this is one of the top stocks in the entire market, if not the top stock. And so there's definitely going to be some buying interest there at the 200 MA. We'll be looking at that as well. Potential swing trades. Maybe you want to grab some leaps or something. The other name I had was Rivian. Unusual relative strength today. The volume is not quite where I'd like to see it. We're looking at 83% daily average. But we had some early morning buying on big R vol. This is one of the few green daily bars on my chart, which aligns well with the current structure. So we'll just see. We'll see. We'll check this in the morning and see if we could get some strength up through 22.5 area. I do like that one with a little more volume. Then we have SE inside day. This one worked nicely today up through the trigger. Didn't quite hit our PT1. The index obviously not helping this thing today, but still give a solid couple of opportunities today, depending on how you'd like to play it. Now it's just an inside day. So now we're looking at an inside day on big volume. As always with the inside day, I go with the break of the inside day. So tomorrow, this will still be on watch simply because of the volume, and we'll be looking for a break of today's range to keep it pretty simple. And then whichever way it breaks, we trade with that direction. It is still off season. It is still slow season. We're outside of that earnings period, which I call off season. Not a lot of catalyst, few and far between for the individual names. So it's really a time to be focusing on the index and kind of sharpening that index sword. All right. Once again, ES making fresh session lows right here. We're looking at 4,300 tomorrow as the primary reference point. Makes sense? All good. That's pretty much the nice. You got the shorts, Chris. That's excellent. Yeah, Apple is usually a good clue for any shorts. Anytime, like if Apple's sideways, probably want to be more cautious. This is a phenomenal clue for index trades. I like to watch this, especially when we have some type of technical level. All right, so that can help add conviction. Got a couple of nice 2-hour trader framework setups on there as well on the Apple. NQ, what are we looking at here on NQ? So coming into an area of support after what I called the daily breakdown through 14,800. Now testing, not quite there, but the 14,650 area right through here. Now, if that gives way, once again, look below. Look below. We had that trend day from May 26th. There's no volume through there. So if this 14,600 fails, it'll likely be a quick move down into 14,351. Right? These volume voids always fill fairly quickly. So let's keep an eye on that. VIX, I don't really use it anymore, Alan. I never look at VIX anymore. With the advent of 0DTE options, I do think VIX has lost a lot of its value as a market signal personally. That's just my approach. I know a lot of traders that still utilize this, still watch it. It's not for me. I mean, essentially VIX is telling us, okay, people are buying 30-day out puts. Like, that doesn't offer a lot of edge for me personally. As you guys know, I like to keep everything as simple as possible with my trading, and it always comes back to just price action and volume on whatever it is that I'm trading. So market structure never fails me. So I try and keep it specifically to that. So ES tomorrow, 4,300. NQ, we've got we'll call it 14,650, 14,600 area. And then individual names, Apple, more of like a market gauge. Rivian, relative strength, and then SE, inside day on big volume. And then whatever else is in the gap scan or fresh news. Any questions? Yeah, Benny, 14,650 area. Check the daily right there. See this low? See where my cursor is? Let me make this full screen. Like if we just draw Basically right through here. All right, we're just about there. Just about there. So that's the approach. Remember, when you're getting long, counter trend, need to be tactical. Need to be tactical. Otherwise, it's just catching a falling knife. Can be costly. Can be costly. I've been there before. So, all right, guys. That's pretty much it. Session's recorded. If you're joining us late, I'll post it up on Twitter and YouTube. You'll see the link. All right. Have a great day. See you in the morning. Take care.